One day, a story of unexpected courage. Claire Anderson sat in her car outside the chapel, gripping the steering wheel so tight her knuckles turned white. At 53, she thought she'd been through enough to handle anything. The divorce 10 years ago, raising 2 kids on her own, building a modest career as a bookkeeper. She'd survived all of it with her dignity intact. But this, her ex-husband Michael's wedding to a woman 15 years younger, and she'd said yes to coming. Actually said yes. "You're a fool, Claire," she whispered to herself. The invitation had arrived 6 months ago. Michael, ever the gentleman on paper, had included a note. "The kids really want you there. It would mean a lot." And because she loved her children more than she hated uncomfortable situations, here she was, alone, watching couples walk into the chapel hand in hand. She checked her watch. 5 minutes until the ceremony started. That's when she noticed him. A man in his early 60s, silver hair, well-tailored suit, sitting on a bench near the chapel entrance. He was staring at his phone with the expression of someone who'd just received terrible news. Claire watched as he made a call. Even from the car, she could see his shoulders slump as he hung up. Something in his posture reminded her of herself, that particular loneliness that comes from facing something difficult alone. Before she could talk herself out of it, Claire got out of her car and walked over. "Excuse me," she said softly. "Are you all right?" The man looked up, surprised. His eyes were kind, tired. "I've had better days," he admitted. "My sister's wedding. I was supposed to bring someone, but she just canceled. Food poisoning." He gave a self-deprecating laugh. "And here I am, about to be the only single person at a wedding where everyone will ask me about my love life. Again." Claire found herself smiling. "That's actually exactly my situation. Different wedding, same problem." They looked at each other for a moment. 2 strangers, 2 people who'd lived long enough to know that life rarely goes according to plan. "This might sound completely crazy," Claire said slowly, "but what if we helped each other? You pretend to be my date, I pretend to be yours. Just for today, just to get through it." The man studied her carefully. Not with judgment, but with genuine consideration. "That does sound crazy," he said. Then he smiled. "I'm Robert Mitchell. Claire Anderson." She shook his hand, feeling suddenly lighter. "And I promise I'm not usually this forward. It's just been a really long decade." Robert stood. "Well, Claire Anderson, I accept your crazy proposition. But I should probably tell you something first. I have money. Quite a bit of it, actually. Built a company, sold it, did well. I'm telling you because people sometimes get weird about it." Claire appreciated his honesty. "I'm a bookkeeper who drives a 10-year-old Honda. I'm telling you because I want you to know I'm not doing this for any reason except survival." "Good," Robert said, offering his arm. "Then shall we survive this together?" Walking into that chapel on Robert's arm changed everything. Claire felt the eyes on her, heard the whispers, but instead of feeling small, she felt present, real. Michael did a double take when he saw her. His new bride, Ashley, looked confused. Claire just smiled politely and found her seat. "Your ex?" Robert whispered. "The groom," Claire confirmed. "Ah. And judging by his expression, he didn't expect you to show up looking quite so content." Claire glanced at Robert. "Is that what I look like?" "It's what you should look like," he said simply. "You survived him. That's worth celebrating." At the reception, they played their roles perfectly. But somewhere between the cocktail hour and dinner, something shifted. They stopped pretending and started simply being. Robert told her about losing his wife 5 years ago. How success in business had never quite filled the emptiness of coming home to a quiet house. Claire talked about the shame she'd felt when Michael left. How she'd thought she'd failed somehow. How long it took to realize that some people just can't see the value of what they have until it's gone. "You know what's strange?" Robert said as they swayed on the dance floor to a song neither of them knew. "I came here dreading this day, and it's turned into one of the nicest evenings I've had in years." Claire looked up at him. "I was sitting in my car thinking I'd made a terrible mistake. Now I'm glad I came." "Because you got to see your ex get married," Robert teased gently. "No," Claire said honestly. Because I got to remember that I'm still capable of being brave, of taking chances, even small, crazy ones like asking a stranger to be my fake date. Near the end of the evening, Michael approached them at their table. Ashley was with him, looking uncertain. "Claire," Michael said, "I'm glad you came. And I wanted to say, I'm sorry. For how things ended, you deserved better." Claire felt Robert's hand gently squeeze hers under the table. Support, not rescue. "Thank you for saying that, Michael," she said calmly. "I hope you'll be very happy." And she meant it. Not because she'd forgiven everything instantly, but because she'd finally realized that his choices were never about her worth. They were about his own journey. After Michael walked away, Robert said quietly, "That took grace." "It took perspective," Claire corrected. "And maybe a little bit of having someone sit beside me who reminded me I didn't have to face this alone." As the reception ended, they walked to the parking lot together. The evening had grown cool, autumn settling into the air. "So," Robert said, leaning against Claire's Honda, "this was supposed to be just for today, just to get through a wedding." "It was," Claire agreed, "but I'd like to see you again, really see you. Not as a pretend date, but as whatever this might become." Claire smiled. After a decade of being careful, of protecting herself, she felt that familiar flutter of possibility. "I'd like that too, but slowly. I'm a little out of practice." "Slowly sounds perfect," Robert said. "I've learned that the best things in life aren't rushed. They unfold at their own pace, and they exchanged phone numbers, real ones this time. Made plans for coffee the following week." Driving home that night, Claire thought about the day. How it had started with dread and ended with hope. How a moment of boldness, of reaching out to a stranger, had changed everything. She'd asked Robert to pretend for one day. But what they'd found was something real. Not fireworks or grand romance. Just two people who'd lived long enough to appreciate genuine connection. Who understood that starting over didn't mean erasing the past, but learning from it. Her phone buzzed at a red light. A text from Robert. "Thank you for being brave today. For both of us." Claire smiled, her heart lighter than it had been in years. Sometimes the best things in life come from the chances we almost don't take. From the moments we step outside our comfort and reach out to another person who needs exactly what we need. And maybe that's the real story. Not about millionaires or dramatic gestures, but about two people finding each other at exactly the right moment, when they'd both finally learned what really matters. Grace, honesty, the courage to be vulnerable one more time. Claire drove home through the quiet streets, already looking forward to that cup of coffee, already wondering what the next chapter might bring. Because life, she was learning, doesn't end at 50. It just gets more interesting, more real, more full of unexpected second chances. And sometimes all it takes is one day, one moment of courage, one question asked to a stranger who turns out to be exactly what you needed.